This is the moment everything changes for you. Not tomorrow, not someday. Now. You felt it, that constant pull. The noise, the pressure, the weight of reacting instead of leading. You've been strong, but not centered. Capable, but disrupted. That ends here. Breathe. Slow down. You are done being shaken by what you cannot control. You are done reacting to every voice, every opinion, every hit. You are done handing your power away. This is your turning point. The moment you stop leaking energy and start commanding it. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You need decision. Stand here with me. Feel the shift. You are not becoming louder. You are becoming stronger. Calm, focused, unmovable. You are becoming mentally untouchable. I am ready. I rise. Chapter 1. The decision to be unbreakable. Breathe. Let's begin calmly, because strength does not start with noise. It starts with clarity. Mental strength is not something you wait for. It is not motivation. It is not a mood. It is a decision. And right now, you are standing at that line. You felt the cost of drifting, reacting instead of leading, letting circumstances decide how you feel, how you move, how you show up. That cost has been heavy. Pause for a moment. Look at the version of you that reacts. That version flinches. That version explains. That version waits. Now look at the version of you that decides. This is where the shift begins. Not with force, with authority. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The wind is loud. The rain is relentless. Everything around you is moving. But you don't. You stand still. That is unbreakable. You don't fight the storm. You don't run from it. You don't beg it to stop. You plant your feet. This is the moment you stop negotiating with pressure. The moment you stop hoping things get easier. The moment you stop reacting. Tension builds here, because the old version of you resists this. It wants comfort. It wants distraction. It wants excuses. But you are no longer available for that. Decide. No more drifting. No more waiting for the perfect feeling. No more handing control to emotion. Stand firm. Feel the relief in that clarity. Not relief because the storm is gone. Relief because you are steady. This is leadership over self. This is where mental toughness is born. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to prove it. You simply choose it and live from it. Every day forward, you ask one question. Who decides here? And the answer is always the same. You. Say it internally. Let it settle. I decide who I become. Again slower. I decide who I become. This decision changes how you walk into rooms, how you respond under pressure, how you carry yourself when no one is watching. You are not forcing strength. You are choosing it. Calm, clear, unbreakable. This is the first step, and you have taken it. Stand firm. Stay here. We move forward from strength now. Chapter 2. Mastering your internal voice. Slow down. Before the world ever speaks to you, your mind speaks first. And whoever leads that voice leads your life. Right now, there is a voice running in the background. Constant, persistent, quiet enough to ignore, strong enough to shape every decision. This is where mastery begins. Not outside, inside. Listen, not to the noise around you, to the words you say when no one else is there. That voice has been rehearsing habits for years. Doubt, rush, justification, reaction. And here is the truth you must face calmly. If you do not lead that voice, it will lead you. Pause. Awareness is power. You don't attack the voice. You don't fight it. You observe it. Imagine sitting above your thoughts instead of inside them. You hear the impulse to react. You hear the urge to explain. You hear the tension trying to pull you forward. And you don't move. That stillness is not weakness. That stillness is command. The old version of you spoke automatically. It narrated fear. It rushed to defend. It filled silence with noise. But you are no longer that person. You are becoming someone who speaks with authority, even internally. Corrected, not with emotion, with leadership. When the voice says react, you respond with I choose. When it says prove yourself, you respond with I know who I am. When it says this is too much, you respond with I remain steady. Feel the shift. This is an identity change. You are no longer a participant in your thoughts. You are the leader of them. and leadership values silence. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is space. In silence, you regain control. In silence, you see clearly. In silence, your power multiplies. You don't fill every moment. You don't answer every trigger. You don't react to every internal demand. You choose. Listen again. The voice is quieter now, not because it disappeared, but because it recognizes authority. This is how mentally untouchable people move. They are not rushed by emotion. They are not pulled by impulse. They do not argue with themselves. They lead themselves. Lead yourself. One breath at a time. One thought at a time. One moment of silence at a time. And when the world tries to rush you, when pressure rises, when old patterns try to return, you pause. You listen. You correct. You lead. Say it internally. Let it anchor you. I decide who I become. Again, I decide who I become. You are not here to react. You are here to command. Quietly, calmly, completely. This is mastery. Chapter 3. Emotional control is power. Stay with me. Feelings will rise. That is human. Emotion is not the enemy, but obedience to emotion. That is where power is lost. Emotion felt is not emotion obeyed. Let that settle. You don't become strong by pretending you feel nothing. That is suppression, and suppression always leaks. Real strength is discipline. You allow the feeling, and you choose the response. Pause. Notice how often emotion tries to move you before you decide. Anger demanding action. Fear pushing retreat. Excitement pulling you forward too fast. The old version of you followed that pull. Reacted. Explained. Justified. But you are not here to be dragged by feeling. You are here to lead it. Imagine fire. Fire uncontrolled destroys everything it touches. Fire contained heats homes, forges steel, fuels progress. Same fire, different control. That is you now. You feel it, and you stay in control. Pressure rises. Your chest tightens. Your pulse quickens. The urge to act appears. And still, your hand remains steady. This is not weakness. This is command. A steady hand under pressure is rare. And that rarity is power. Most people explode, or collapse, or retreat into noise. You don't. You breathe. You observe. You choose. Power is calm. Not loud calm. Not performative calm. Real calm. The kind that unsettles chaos. The kind that makes others slow down. The kind that signals leadership without words. Here's where tension builds. Because emotional control feels uncomfortable at first. The old patterns want release. They want reaction. They want immediate relief. But relief is not strength. Relief is temporary. Restraint builds permanence. Every time you pause instead of reacting, you reinforce a new identity. Every time you choose response over impulse, you strengthen mental muscle. This is delayed gratification of the highest level. You don't win the moment. You win yourself. Notice how silence enters again. Silence between feeling and action. That space is where power lives. You don't deny the emotion. You don't dramatize it. You acknowledge it and move with intention. This is emotional discipline. Say it internally. I feel it and I stay in control. Again slower. I feel it and I stay in control. Feel the relief that comes with leadership. Not because the emotion vanished, but because you are in charge. Imagine yourself in a high-pressure moment. Eyes on you. Expectations heavy. Others rush. Others panic. Others react. You don't. You remain grounded. Your voice steady. Your presence calm. That image is not fantasy. It is training. And this training is happening right now. Every breath you take without reacting. Every moment you choose restraint. You become harder to shake. You are not cold. You are controlled. You are not distant. You are deliberate. This is what emotional maturity looks like. This is what leadership feels like internally. Power is calm. Say it again. Power is calm. And now carry this forward. When emotion rises next time, and it will, you don't suppress it. You don't obey it. You lead it. You feel it. And you stay in control. This is how you become mentally untouchable. Chapter 4. Detachment from chaos. Slow your breath, because chaos feeds on speed, and you are no longer available for that. Not everything deserves your energy. Let that land. There is a difference between awareness and involvement, between seeing everything and carrying everything. Most people absorb what they should only observe. They internalize opinions. They carry moods that aren't theirs. They react to noise that was never meant for them. You don't do that anymore. Step back, not in retreat, in elevation. Detachment is not indifference. Detachment is clarity. You are not escaping reality. You are choosing your position within it. Imagine standing on higher ground. Below you, movement, arguments, urgency, emotion colliding with emotion. Up here, there is space. You can see without being pulled. You can hear without being shaken. Observe. This is where power returns. External validation once felt necessary. Approval, recognition, being understood. But needing validation hands control outward. And control never belongs outside of you. The moment you stop needing reaction, you gain leverage. This is an identity shift. The old version of you leaned forward, seeking response, seeking reassurance, seeking confirmation. The new version leans back, calm, grounded, unmoved. Tension builds here because letting go of validation feels like standing alone at first. The mind reaches outward. It wants echo. It wants agreement. But solitude is not weakness. It is strength refining itself. Choose peace. Peace is not passive. Peace is selective. You decide what enters. You decide what stays. You decide what deserves response. Chaos will test you. It will rush you. It will provoke you. It will try to pull you back into reaction. And this is where detachment becomes strategic. You don't detach because you are overwhelmed. You detach because you are disciplined. You recognize patterns now. Noise wants attention. Drama wants engagement. Emotion wants reaction. And you deny it fuel. Silence again becomes your ally. Silence is not absence. Silence is refusal. Refusal to argue. Refusal to explain. Refusal to absorb what does not align. Observe how your body feels when you step back. Shoulders lower. Breath deepens. Mind clears. That is your nervous system recalibrating to leadership. You are no longer wired for chaos. You are wired for clarity. Picture a storm at sea. Waves violent. Wind relentless. The surface is chaos, but below, there is stillness. Depth is calm. You become depth. You don't match the chaos above. You remain steady beneath it. This is how mentally untouchable people live. They are present, but not entangled. They are aware, but not consumed. They choose where their energy goes. Say it internally. Step back. Again. Observe. And now, choose peace. Peace is not given. Peace is chosen. And every time you choose it, you reinforce your authority. Authority over emotion. Authority over attention. Authority over self. This is not withdrawal from life. This is mastery within it. You are not cold. You are composed. You are not distant. You are deliberate. And with every moment of strategic detachment, you become harder to pull, harder to shake, harder to disrupt. This is how chaos loses access to you. You don't fight it. You rise above it. Calm, clear, untouchable. Stay here. We continue building from this strength. Chapter 5. Building mental armor daily. Settle in, because real strength is not built in moments of intensity. It is built in moments of repetition. Mental toughness is not an event. It is a practice. Every day. Habits over hype. Consistency over excitement. Leadership over mood. This is where mental armor is forged. Most people look for breakthroughs. You are building standards. The old version of you waited to feel ready, waited for motivation, waited for the right conditions. That version lived in cycles. The new version lives in structure. You move even when the feeling isn't there. You show up even when no one is watching. You keep promises made in silence. This is self-leadership. And self-leadership is quiet. No announcements. No applause. No external reward. Just repetition. Day after day. That repetition shapes identity. You are not trying to be disciplined. You are becoming disciplined. There is a difference. Trying is emotional. Becoming is behavioral. Picture armor being built. Not all at once. Piece by piece. Strike by strike. Each habit is a layer. Each disciplined action is reinforcement. Most days feel ordinary. That's the point. Delayed gratification lives here. You don't see results immediately. You don't feel powerful every time. But you know what you are doing. You are becoming someone reliable to yourself. That reliability is rare, and rare is powerful. Tension builds here, because boredom tests discipline more than difficulty. When things are hard, intensity appears. When things are quiet, excuses creep in. But you don't negotiate with consistency. You move anyway. This is where mental armor thickens. You wake up when you said you would. You train your focus. You manage your energy. You finish what you start. Small actions, massive identity shift. Every completed habit sends a signal inward. I can be trusted. Say it internally. I rise. Again, I rise. Not loudly, not dramatically, steadily. Notice how this changes your posture, your walk, your presence. You are no longer fragile. You are reinforced. This armor is not visible, but it is felt. Pressure meets you and slows down. Chaos reaches you and loses grip. Because you are practiced, daily discipline removes surprise. It removes panic. It removes self-doubt. You've been here before. You know how you respond. That is confidence, not bravado, not noise. Confidence earned through repetition. This is how mentally untouchable people are built. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on systems. They don't chase intensity. They cultivate consistency. They don't seek comfort. They accept discomfort as training. And over time, they become unshakable. Every day you honor discipline. You add weight to your presence. Every day you show up quietly. You harden your standards. And standards shape destiny. Pause here. Feel the solidity you are building. This is not fast. It is permanent. You are not chasing a version of yourself. You are constructing one, layer by layer, day by day. Say it again. I rise. This I is not about perfection. It is about leadership. You lead yourself when it's boring. You lead yourself when it's quiet. You lead yourself when no one sees. And when pressure returns, when chaos tries to enter, you don't scramble. You stand, armored, grounded, ready. This is daily mental toughness. This is how you become untouchable. And tomorrow, you do it again. Chapter 6. Pressure creates leaders. Stay with me. This is where the work sharpens. Pressure is not the enemy. Avoidance is. Let that settle fully. Pressure has always been present. The difference now is how you meet it. Most people spend their lives trying to escape pressure. They avoid responsibility. They avoid discomfort. They avoid moments that demand more than comfort can give. And in doing so, they avoid leadership. You don't, because pressure is not here to break you. Pressure is here to reveal you. Think of a forge. Raw metal enters ordinary, unshaped, unremarkable. Heat is applied. Force is introduced. Resistance meets resistance, and something stronger emerges. That is what pressure does. When you stay, the old version of you saw pressure as a threat. Heart racing, mind scattered, emotion pushing for escape. But you have built control. You have built armor. You have built silence. Now pressure feels different, heavier, but clearer. Pressure exposes habits. It exposes leadership. It exposes who you are when comfort disappears. And this is where dependable people are made. Dependable under stress, steady when others shake, present when others vanish. That steadiness becomes your reputation. Not something you claim, something you demonstrate. Calmly, notice how pressure tries to rush you. It wants reaction. It wants speed without clarity. But you slow down. You breathe. You ground yourself. And suddenly, pressure loses its advantage. Leadership is not loud in pressure. Leadership is still. Others look for answers. You look for alignment. Others rush to be seen. You focus on being useful. This is leadership through steadiness. And now, tension builds, because pressure will test your identity. It will whisper old patterns. Get out. Defend yourself. Make it stop. But that voice no longer leads. You stay. This is where the transformation peak begins. The intensity rises now. Feel it. The weight. The expectation. The moment asking more from you. And you don't move. Stay here. Hold steady. Don't move. Let the pressure press. Let the heat rise. Let the moment stretch. because every second you remain grounded, you are forging something rare. Stay here. Hold steady. Don't move. Again. Stay here. Hold steady. Don't move. This is not stubbornness. This is discipline. This is where leaders separate from reactors. Your breath stays slow. Your voice stays calm. Your mind stays clear. You are not trying to win the moment. You are mastering yourself inside it. And that mastery changes everything. Pressure begins to respect you. People feel it. They sense it. You don't escalate. You don't panic. You don't collapse. You remain. This is what others lean on. This is what organizations trust. What teams follow. What chaos cannot shake. Pressure reveals who can be counted on. And you are becoming that person. Say it internally. I stay steady. Again. I stay steady. Feel the relief that comes not from escape, but from control. The storm is still there. The pressure is still real. But you are stronger than the moment. This is leadership under fire. Not dramatic. Not emotional. Grounded. You don't need to dominate pressure. You need to withstand it. And every time you do, your confidence deepens. Not confidence from praise. Confidence from proof. Proof that you don't disappear when things get heavy. Proof that you don't fracture under weight. Proof that you can be trusted when it matters. That proof lives inside you now. Pressure didn't create panic. It created clarity. It showed you who you are becoming. Someone who stays. Someone who steadies. Someone who leads without noise. This is not the end of pressure. It is the beginning of partnership with it. You stop avoiding it. You stop fearing it. You use it. Because pressure is the forge, and you are no longer raw material. You are being shaped. Stay here. Hold steady. Don't move. This is where leaders are made. And you are not leaving. Chapter 7. Identity over emotion. Slow your breathing, because now we go deeper. You do not act based on how you feel. You act based on who you believe you are. Read that again internally. Emotion fluctuates. Identity directs. This is where most people lose control. They let emotion vote. They let mood decide. They let temporary feelings override permanent standards. You don't do that anymore, because you are no longer building behavior. You are reinforcing identity. And identity leads emotion, not the other way around. The old version of you waited for the feeling, waited to feel confident, waited to feel ready, waited to feel calm. That version was ruled by emotional weather. But look at you now. You act first. You lead first. You choose first. And emotion follows. This is mental authority. Authority does not ask permission from feeling. Authority sets the direction. Picture a compass. Emotion is the wind. Identity is true north. The wind shifts constantly. True north does not move. This is who you are now. Say it slowly. This is who you are now. You are someone who remains steady. Someone who chooses response over reaction. Someone who does not abandon standards under pressure. This is how you move. Again, this is who you are now. This is how you move. Feel the difference. The old self asked, "How do I feel right now?" The new self asks, "Who am I choosing to be?" That question changes everything. Tension builds here, because the old self will try to return. It will show up disguised as emotion, fatigue, frustration, doubt. It will try to negotiate. Just this once. You deserve a break. No one will notice. But identity does not negotiate. Standards do not argue. They execute. This is where repetition becomes power. Every time you act in alignment with your identity, you strengthen it. Every time you refuse to act against it, you harden it. Mental authority is earned through consistency. You don't need to feel disciplined to be disciplined. You don't need to feel calm to act calm. You don't need to feel strong to move with strength. You act, because this is who you are now. This is how you move. Let that echo. This is who you are now. This is how you move. Picture a moment of pressure ahead of you. A decision, a challenge, a test. Emotion will show up first. It always does. But it no longer gets the microphone. You acknowledge it. You feel it. And then you choose identity. That choice is quiet, immediate, final. This is mental leadership. You don't fight emotion. You place it behind purpose. Emotion becomes information, not instruction. Say that internally. Emotion is information. not instruction. Again, emotion is information, not instruction. This is where people begin to feel your presence differently. You speak less, you explain less, you react less, and yet you lead more, because identity creates gravity. Others sense when someone is anchored, when someone is internally aligned, when someone moves from standards, not impulse. This alignment creates calm. Calm creates trust. Trust creates influence. And influence, real influence, comes from internal authority. This is not arrogance. This is clarity. You are not better than others. You are better than the version of you that drifted. Old self, new standard. The old self moved when emotion pushed. The new standard moves when values call. This is who you are now. This is how you move. Say it again. Let it lock in. This is who you are now. This is how you move. And when the day gets heavy, when emotion spikes, when pressure returns, you don't ask, "How do I feel?" You ask, "What does my identity do here?" And you act accordingly. That is mental authority. That is leadership over self. That is how you become unshakable. You don't rise above emotion by denying it. You rise above emotion by outgrowing its control. And you are doing that now, step by step, choice by choice. This identity is no longer theoretical. It is practiced, reinforced, lived. You are no longer becoming it. You are it. This is who you are now. This is how you move. And from here forward, everything else aligns. Chapter 8. Silence, Focus, and Strategic Power. Slow down. This chapter is quiet by design, because silence multiplies strength. Most people misunderstand silence. They think it means absence. They think it means weakness. They think it means disengagement. It doesn't. Silence is control. Silence is what remains when you no longer need to prove anything. Silence is what appears when identity is settled. Silence is the signal of internal alignment. The loudest people are usually uncertain. They explain too much. They react too fast. They announce what should be demonstrated. You don't do that anymore. You are learning to move with quiet confidence. Quiet confidence does not rush into rooms. It does not dominate conversations. It does not compete for attention. It observes. It listens. It waits. And when it moves with precision. Focus without announcement. That is power. The old version of you wanted recognition early, wanted validation in real time, wanted to be seen before the work was complete. That need created noise. And noise leaks energy. But you are no longer available for that leak. You understand something now. Real power does not speak often. It speaks when necessary. Think of a blade. A dull blade makes noise. It hacks. It struggles. A sharp blade is silent. One clean movement. Same force. Different mastery. That is focus. You choose where your attention goes. You do not scatter it. You do not dilute it. You do not broadcast it. Because focus is expensive, and you invest it carefully. Silence protects focus. When you stop explaining your plans, you gain time. When you stop announcing your intentions, you gain clarity. When you stop seeking approval, you gain freedom. This is strategic power. You are not hiding. You are refining. You are not disengaged. You are deliberate. The world is loud. Everyone is performing. Everyone is reacting. Everyone is competing for noise. And you step out of that pattern. You do not owe explanations for discipline. You do not owe approval-seeking behavior. You do not owe access to your internal process. This is leadership over attention. Your attention is finite. Your energy is valuable. Your focus is a weapon, and you no longer waste weapons. Observe how silence changes your posture. You speak less, and your words carry more weight. You react less, and your responses gain authority. You move less, and when you do move, people notice. This is not manipulation. This is maturity. Silence strips away the unnecessary. It removes performance. It leaves only intention. And intention is powerful. Tension builds here, because silence feels uncomfortable at first. The old habits want to fill space. They want to explain. They want to justify. But you resist that pull. You let silence stand, and something shifts. People begin to lean in. They pay closer attention. They slow down around you, because silence introduces gravity. Now we approach the transformation peak. The energy sharpens here. Short lines, clear commands. Stay present. No explanation. No approval needed. Again, no explanation. No approval needed. Feel the intensity rise. This is the moment where noise loses control over you. You don't clarify your worth. You don't defend your choices. You don't announce your discipline. You execute. You let results speak. You let consistency speak. You let presence speak. Silence becomes your signature. Not empty silence. Intentional silence. The kind that says, I know where I'm going. Focus narrows now. Distractions fall away. You no longer chase everything. You choose one thing and commit fully. This is rare. Most people fragment themselves. You consolidate. You gather energy inward. You move with alignment. That alignment feels calm, but it is powerful because calm focus is unstoppable. Think of a river. Wide and shallow loses force. Narrow and deep cuts through stone. That is you now. Focused, directed, unannounced. No explanation. No approval needed. Say it internally. No explanation. No approval needed. Again, no explanation. No approval needed. Notice how freeing that feels. No pressure to perform. No need to convince. No obligation to respond. Just action. Just movement. Just execution. This is strategic power. You don't reveal everything. You don't move emotionally. You don't expose your internal process. You protect it. And protection creates longevity. Silence also teaches patience. You stop reacting to immediacy. You stop chasing instant response. You allow outcomes to unfold. This patience sharpens judgment. You see more. You miss less. You decide better. That is leadership. Quiet leadership. The kind that doesn't need titles. Doesn't need applause. Doesn't need validation. It simply exists. And when pressure returns, because it always does, silence gives you advantage. Others panic. Others explain. Others scramble. You pause. You assess. You move once. Decisively. Silence multiplies strength because it removes waste. No wasted words. No wasted emotion. No wasted motion. Everything becomes intentional. Everything becomes aligned. This is where mentally untouchable people separate completely. They are not visible everywhere. They are effective where it matters. They don't chase attention. Attention follows them. They don't announce growth. Growth reveals itself. This chapter changes how you carry yourself. Less talk, more presence. Less reaction, more authority. Less noise, more power. Silence is not retreat. It is positioning. Focus is not obsession. It is respect for your energy. Strategic power is not domination. It is restraint used wisely. And now, you embody all three. Quiet confidence, focused movement, power without noise. Stay here. Let this integrate. Because from this point forward, your presence will speak before you do. And when you do speak, it will matter. No explanation. No approval needed. You move now. With precision. Chapter 9. Becoming unshakable under criticism. Stay grounded. Because this is where many lose their footing. Criticism is inevitable. Attention attracts it. Growth invites it. Leadership guarantees it. But criticism only has power when identity is unstable. When identity is solid, criticism becomes noise. Let that settle. The old version of you reacted to criticism emotionally. Defended. Explained. Internalized. Every comment landed heavy. Every opinion felt personal. Every judgment shook your center. But that version no longer leads. You are becoming emotionally immune. Not numb. Not disconnected. Immune. There is a difference. Emotional immunity does not mean you feel nothing. It means you are not infected by everything. You hear criticism, and you remain intact. This begins with internal validation. Most people outsource their worth. They let others decide how they feel about themselves. They wait for approval to feel confident. They collapse when approval disappears. That is not strength. That is dependency. And dependency is fragile. You are moving into self-sourced stability. Your worth is no longer debated externally. Your direction is no longer voted on. Your identity is no longer open for discussion. This is not arrogance. This is grounding. Picture yourself standing on solid ground while waves crash around you. The waves are loud, forceful, relentless, but they do not move the ground beneath your feet. You don't stop the waves. You don't argue with the ocean. You don't chase calm water. You stand tall. This is composure under attack. Criticism will try to provoke emotion. It wants reaction. It wants explanation. It wants to pull you back into old patterns. But you don't give it that satisfaction. You listen without absorbing. You evaluate without internalizing. You discard without resentment. This is strength through restraint. Criticism is information at best, noise at worst. You decide which it is. Here is where tension builds. Because criticism often targets identity. It questions your choices, your pace, your priorities. And if identity is weak, criticism feels like a threat. But your identity is no longer fragile. It has been reinforced, repeated, lived. You know who you are becoming. You know your standards. You know your direction. That clarity acts as armor. Say it internally. I know who I am. Again, I know who I am. Notice the calm that follows. This calm is not passive. It is anchored. Anchored people do not argue with every voice. They do not defend every decision. They do not engage every critic. They choose when to respond, and when silence is stronger. Staying composed under attack is one of the clearest signals of leadership. Anyone can react. Few can remain steady. And steadiness disarms criticism. When you don't flinch, criticism loses momentum. When you don't escalate, it loses leverage. When you don't personalize, it loses power. This is emotional immunity in action. You are no longer emotionally available to be destabilized by opinion. Your validation is internal now. Internal validation does not mean ignoring feedback. It means filtering it through identity. You ask, does this align with who I am becoming? Does this serve my standards? Does this deserve my energy? If yes, you adjust without ego. If no, you release without resentment. This is maturity. This is composure. This is power. Notice how this changes your presence. Your shoulders stay relaxed. Your voice stays steady. Your breathing stays slow. You are not shrinking. You are not hardening. You are stabilizing. The waves can crash. The noise can rise. The opinions can fly. You remain tall. Standing tall does. Chapter 10. Discipline as self-respect. Stand still for a moment, because this chapter is not about motivation. It is about respect. Discipline is how you honor yourself. Not when it's easy, not when it's exciting, but when it's quiet, when it's uncomfortable, when no one is watching. This is where self-respect is proven. Most people talk about discipline as punishment, restriction, force. They misunderstand it. Discipline is not what you do to yourself. It is what you do for yourself. It is the clearest form of self-respect there is. The old version of you negotiated with weakness. I'll do it later. I deserve a break. Just this once. Those negotiations felt harmless, but they came with a cost. Every broken promise weakened trust with yourself. Every delay eroded authority. Every excuse lowered standards, and standards define outcomes. You see that clearly now. Discipline is the decision to live in alignment with your values, especially when emotion disagrees. Doing what must be done, not what feels good, not what feels convenient. What must be done. That phrase carries weight. Doing what must be done builds something rare. Integrity with yourself. You stop lying internally. You stop pretending tomorrow will fix what today avoids. You stop outsourcing responsibility to mood. This is internal leadership. And leadership always starts inward. You lead by example, even when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching, because the way you treat yourself in private determines how you show up in public. Internal standards are born in silence. No applause, no recognition, no reward. Just you, meeting your own expectations. That is self-respect. The old self waited to feel inspired. The new standard moves regardless. The old self needed motivation. The new standard relies on commitment. This is the difference between wanting a better life and building one. Tension builds here because discipline is uncomfortable. It exposes resistance. It confronts avoidance. Weakness will speak up. It always does. It will say, "Not today. You've done enough. This doesn't matter." And this is where leadership is tested. You don't argue with weakness. You don't negotiate with it. You act. Do it anyway. Say that internally. Do it anyway. Again. Do it anyway. This is not aggression. It is clarity. You are not forcing yourself. You are honoring yourself. Every time you do what must be done, despite resistance, you reinforce a standard. That standard becomes identity. You begin to trust yourself again. Trust is powerful. When you trust yourself, you move with confidence, not because you believe everything will be easy, but because you know you will show up regardless. That certainty stabilizes you. Pressure feels different now. Criticism feels lighter. Chaos loses leverage because discipline removes fragility. You are no longer dependent on conditions. You are dependable under any condition. This is leadership. Leadership does not demand comfort. Leadership demands consistency. And consistency is discipline repeated. Now we approach the transformation peak. Feel the intensity rise. This is the moment where standards are either enforced or abandoned. The moment where excuses try one last time. Listen closely. You don't negotiate with weakness. Say it. You don't negotiate with weakness. Again. You don't negotiate with weakness. Weakness wants discussion. Strength wants execution. You stop explaining to yourself. You stop justifying delay. You stop romanticizing comfort. You act. Do it anyway. When tired, do it anyway. When unmotivated, do it anyway. When unseen, do it anyway. This repetition changes your nervous system. It teaches your mind who is in charge. Not emotion, not impulse, not comfort. You feel the shift. Discipline becomes identity. You no longer ask, "Should I?" You ask, "What's required?" And you move. That movement is calm, controlled, unemotional, because this is not a fight anymore. It is alignment. You are aligned with your standards. Those standards are not cruel. They are respectful. They protect your future self. They preserve your integrity. They build your capacity. This is self-respect in motion. Others will notice it, not because you talk about it, but because your presence changes. You become reliable, predictable in the best way. People know where you stand. They know what you tolerate. They know what you deliver. That consistency creates trust, and trust creates leadership. But the most important trust is internal. You begin to trust yourself under pressure, under fatigue, under temptation. That trust is priceless, because when you trust yourself, fear loses control. Fear thrives on uncertainty. Discipline removes it. You know what you will do, because you always do it. This chapter is not about intensity for its own sake. It is about stability. Stability built through discipline. Discipline that honors your word, your values, your future. Say it slowly. I honor myself through discipline. Again, I honor myself through discipline. This is not rigidity. This is respect. You are no longer someone who starts strong and fades. You are someone who finishes. You are no longer ruled by mood. You are guided by standards. And standards do not fluctuate. They hold. This is what makes you unshakable. This is what makes you trustworthy. This is what makes you a leader. Even when no one gives you the title, do it anyway. You don't negotiate with weakness. And every time you choose discipline over comfort, you step further into the identity you have been building all along. Steady, reliable, self-respecting. This is who you are now, and you live it daily. Chapter 11. The Mentally Untouchable Identity. Slow everything down, because this chapter is not about effort anymore. It is about arrival. This is no longer something you practice. This is who you are. Let that land fully. Up to this point, you have been building, choosing, correcting, reinforcing. Now the work consolidates. Mental toughness is no longer a tool you reach for. It is the lens you see through. You don't ask how to respond. You already know. You don't prepare to be steady. You are steady. This is full identity integration. The mind stops debating. The body stops resisting. The nervous system settles into alignment. Calm dominance emerges here. Not dominance over others. Dominance over self. That is the highest form. You move differently now. Slower but more certain. Quieter but more authoritative. Calmer but more decisive. People feel it before you speak. Because identity creates presence. Presence does not announce itself. It is felt. The old version of you tried to manage reactions. This version prevents them. Not by avoidance. By clarity. There is no internal chaos to trigger external chaos. Your standards are clear. Your values are integrated. Your responses are consistent. This consistency creates trust. Trust in yourself. Trust from others. But more importantly, trust under pressure. Pressure no longer surprises you. Criticism no longer destabilizes you. Uncertainty no longer shakes you. Because identity is settled. This is what it means to be mentally untouchable. Untouchable does not mean unreachable. It means unmovable. Life can happen around you without happening to you. You feel emotion without being ruled by it. You hear noise without being pulled by it. You face challenge without losing center. This is calm dominance. It is not aggressive. It is grounded. It does not seek control. It embodies control. Think long-term now, because this identity is built for longevity. You are no longer chasing short wins. You are building a life that holds underweight. You think in decades, not moments. You move with patience. You choose sustainability over spectacle. This long-term vision stabilizes you. You don't rush decisions. You don't react emotionally. You don't compromise standards for speed. You know where you are going, and that knowing removes urgency. Urgency creates mistakes. Clarity creates momentum. You are not in a hurry anymore. You are in alignment. The old self needed constant reassurance. The new identity trusts the process. You don't need proof every day. You don't need validation every step. You don't need recognition to continue. Because this identity is self-sustaining. You are no longer trying to become disciplined. You live disciplined. You are no longer trying to stay calm. You are calm. You are no longer trying to be strong. You are strong. This is embodiment. And embodiment changes how life responds to you. People test you less. Chaos approaches cautiously. Pressure meets resistance. Not because you demand it, because you radiate certainty. Certainty is magnetic. Certainty does not argue. It does not prove. It does not convince. It simply exists, and that existence influences everything around it. This is leadership without force. This is authority without volume. This is mental dominance without tension. Pause here. Feel the difference inside you. Notice the absence of urgency, the absence of internal debate, the absence of emotional pull. That space is not empty. It is stable. That stability is the foundation of greatness, because greatness is not built on intensity alone. It is built on consistency under pressure. And you have that now. This identity is resilient. It bends but does not break. It adapts but does not abandon standards. It evolves without losing itself. You can enter chaos and remain calm. You can face criticism and remain centered. You can carry responsibility without collapse. That is mental untouchability. You don't avoid challenge. You absorb it and remain whole. You don't fear loss. You trust yourself to respond. You don't fear uncertainty. You trust your judgment. This trust is earned through discipline, earned through restraint, earned through repetition, and now it lives in you. This is not arrogance. It is grounded confidence. You don't think you are above life. You know you are equipped for it, and that knowledge brings peace. A deep peace, not the kind that avoids difficulty, the kind that survives it. Now say it internally. I am ready. Again, I am ready. Not ready for perfection, ready for reality, ready to lead yourself through whatever comes, ready to stand firm when others waver, ready to move with intention when others react. This identity does not need maintenance through hype. It is maintained through living, through choices, through standards, through alignment. You wake up as this person. You move through the day as this person. You end the day as this person. There is no switch to flip, no mask to wear. This is you, mentally untouchable, calm in chaos, steady under pressure, focused without noise. And from here forward, this identity does not shrink. It expands. It deepens. It carries you into leadership, influence, and impact without costing your peace. You are not finished, but you are no longer fragile. You are not perfect, but you are solid. This is the identity you built, and it will carry you forward for years to come. Stay grounded. The final chapter awaits. Chapter 12, Living Above Emotional Noise. Slow your breathing, because this is where everything comes together. This chapter is not about adding anything new. It is about how you live now. Your presence alone becomes powerful, not because you demand attention, not because you dominate space, but because you are no longer controlled by emotional noise. Most of the world lives inside reaction, inside urgency, inside constant stimulation. They move fast, but without direction. They speak loud, but without authority. They feel everything and control nothing. You are different now. You live above the noise. Living above emotional noise does not mean life is quiet. It means you are. Events still happen. People still react. Pressure still arrives, but it no longer enters your center. You don't absorb chaos. You don't mirror instability. You don't escalate emotion. You lead through calm. Calm is not passive. Calm is commanding. When others rush, you slow the moment. When others panic, you ground the room. When others lose clarity, you provide it without effort. This is presence. Presence is felt before it is understood. You don't need to speak first. You don't need to speak often. Your energy sets the tone. That is power. Stability in chaos is rare, and rarity creates influence. People begin to orient around you, not because you tell them to, but because your steadiness gives them something to hold on to. This is leadership at its highest level, not positional leadership, personal leadership. You lead yourself so well that others feel safer around you. The old version of you contributed to noise, reacted quickly, explained emotionally, moved impulsively. That version lived inside the storm. But now, you stand above it, not detached from life, not disconnected from feeling, anchored. The waves can crash, the wind can roar. You remain steady, and steadiness changes outcomes. You no longer need to win arguments. You no longer need to prove points. You no longer need to be right in the moment. You choose effectiveness over ego. That choice changes everything. Living untouchable means you do not hand your state to circumstances. You experience emotion, but you do not surrender to it. You receive information, but you do not let it hijack direction. You stay in command. This is identity-based action. You don't ask how you feel. You act from who you are, and who you are now is consistent. That consistency creates reliability. You become predictable in the best way. People know you won't overreact. They know you won't disappear. They know you won't break under pressure. That predictability builds trust, and trust is the foundation of real influence. This chapter is about living what you've built, not performing it, not announcing it, living it every day, in small moments, in quiet decisions, in unobserved choices. This is delayed gratification in its purest form. You don't chase immediate relief. You protect long-term stability. You don't vent emotion impulsively. You process it privately. You don't react publicly. You respond strategically. That restraint compounds. Over time, your life becomes calmer, not because there are fewer challenges, but because you meet them differently. Now the tension begins to rise, because this is where the final separation happens, between those who know these principles and those who live them. The old self will still try to appear. Fatigue will knock. Pressure will test. Chaos will tempt reaction. This is where the final crescendo begins. Stay with me. Fast now. Focused. Clear. You do not go backward. You do not give up control you earned. You do not abandon identity under pressure. Keep going. Say it internally. Keep going. Again. Keep going. You don't stop because it's uncomfortable. You don't stop because it's quiet. You don't stop because no one is watching. You keep going because this is who you are. Do not stop. Again, do not stop. This is not intensity for drama. This is resolve. Resolve is calm, but immovable. You move forward without noise, without announcement, without permission. The world can rush. You don't. The world can react. You don't. The world can panic. You don't. You stay above it. Living above emotional noise means you no longer identify with every feeling. You let feelings pass through, not define you. You don't cling to highs. You don't collapse into lows. You remain centered. That center is your home now. This is what makes you untouchable, not invincible, not superior, stable. Stability outlasts intensity. Stability outperforms chaos. Stability wins over time. This is long-term leadership, not leadership for applause, leadership for impact. You are not rushing to prove anything. You are building something that lasts. Your nervous system knows this now. It trusts you. It no longer stays in survival mode. It no longer scans for threats constantly. It settles, and when your nervous system settles, your thinking sharpens, your decisions improve, your presence deepens. This is the final evolution. From reacting to responding to being. You don't manage strength anymore. You embody it. You don't practice calm. You live from it. You don't try to be untouchable. You are. And here is the final truth. This does not end. This expands. Every challenge ahead becomes training, not threat. Every pressure becomes refinement, not danger. Every moment becomes an opportunity to reinforce who you are. You are no longer chasing peace. You carry it. You are no longer seeking control. You live in it. You are no longer at the mercy of emotional noise. You live above it. Now hold this. Breathe. Stand tall internally. And remember, when life speeds up, keep going. When pressure increases, do not stop. When chaos rises, you stay steady. This is your standard now. This is your identity. This is how you live. Mentally untouchable, calm in motion, stable in uncertainty, present in power. And from here forward, you do not drift. You do not fold. You do not return to reaction. You keep going. You do not stop. This is the life you built. Now live it. Final conclusion. Breathe and take this moment in, because you are not the same person who started. You no longer move through life on reflex. You no longer hand your power to emotion. You no longer react first and think later. That version of you is finished. What stands here now is calm, grounded, certain. You have built something real, not hype, not temporary motivation. Identity. You trained your mind to listen. You taught emotion where it belongs. You replaced noise with clarity. You chose discipline over comfort. You stayed when pressure tried to move you. And because of that, you are no longer reactive. You are mentally untouchable. Life will continue to test you. Chaos will still appear. Pressure will still knock. But it no longer enters uninvited. You decide. You choose your response. You choose your pace. You choose your standards. This is the standard now. Not perfection. Consistency. Not intensity. Control. Not force. Authority. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to prove it. You live it. Every day you move with intention. Every moment you choose calm over chaos. Every time you lead yourself instead of reacting. That is power. That is leadership. That is freedom. Pause here. Feel the stability inside you. That stability is not fragile. It does not disappear when life gets loud. It does not crack under pressure. It holds. You have become someone others feel safe around. Someone pressure cannot rush. Someone chaos cannot control. And this identity is not borrowed. It is earned. Through choice. Through discipline. Through repetition. From this point forward, you do not drift. You do not collapse into old habits. You do not surrender standards for comfort. You move forward with clarity. When emotion rises, you lead it. When noise increases, you rise above it. When challenge appears, you stay grounded. This is not something you turn off. This is who you are now. Say it internally, slowly. I decide who I become. Again, I decide who I become. Feel the authority in that. Now, I rise. Not in haste, not in anger, in strength. And finally, let this lock in. I am mentally untouchable. Again, I am mentally untouchable. Carry this into every room you enter, every decision you make, every challenge you face. This is your foundation now. Calm, clear, unshakable. The world can move fast. You don't have to. You are ready, and you move forward. Untouchable. You made it to the end. That already says something about you. Most people stop early. You stayed. If this audiobook challenged you, if it sharpened your focus, if it reminded you of who you're becoming, then don't let this be a one-time moment. This channel exists for people who choose growth, discipline over comfort, clarity over noise, progress over excuses. If you want more audiobooks like this, more mindset training, more leadership, more inner strength, subscribe, like this video so it reaches the people who need it, and share it with someone who's ready to rise but hasn't found the words yet. Stay consistent, protect your mind, and keep moving forward. This is only the beginning.